Okay, the next thing we're going to make is chocolate mousse. Now, chocolate mousse is usually a kind of a difficult thing to make, but I've come up with a recipe that works very, very quickly, and it's very easy to make. It's just a couple of ingredients. We use heavy whipping cream, vanilla extract, and Jello. I like to use sugar-free chocolate pudding. You could probably use just about any kind of pudding. We're going to make chocolate mousse. You could use like fudge, or if you like vanilla, any kind of flavor that you wanted, that you really like. We're also going to put one, I'm going to make enough of it that we can make a pie out of one, and I got these ready-made graham cracker crust, but you could make your own graham cracker crust. I might show you how to do that some other time. And if you don't have a graham cracker crust, you can also just put it in a dessert dish. We're going to do a little bit of both of those. We're making a whole bunch of this because this is another one of those things that David really, really likes. Now, when I mix it up, I like to use a large glass mixing bowl. Or a metal mixing bowl if you've got that, but I don't advise using plastic because for some reason whipping cream doesn't really like to mix up very well in a plastic dish. So I've just found that it works really, really well in either metal or glass. Now, the other thing I want to tell you is this is one of the large boxes of Jello and a large container of whipping cream. You can get a smaller package of Jello and a smaller container of whipping cream if you want to make just half of the amount that we're making. Now, what I do is I start out with the Jello first. I put that in my bowl. Shake that down. And pour that in. I do this first because it helps to mix it up. Otherwise, when we get going with the mixer, it wants to go all over the place. And then I pour in the whipping cream. I mix that up just a little bit in here. I don't know if ever in school they passed around a container of whipping cream and let everybody shake it up, shake it up, shake it up until it made whipped cream. That's a really fun thing to do, and sometimes they do that in school. Now we're going to pour the whole thing in here very carefully. And you see how that chocolate kind of starts coming to the surface of that. And I mix it in kind of slowly so I can try to get it to mix just a little bit before we start going with the mixer. Here we go. Now this is going to make a little bit of noise when we start mixing this up. And you notice it pours out kind of like maybe like a thick milk. When we get finished with this, it's going to be, whipped cream is kind of fluffy and real light. Ours is going to be a little bit heavier. So we'll start out here, and like I said, it's going to be a little noisy. You may want to turn your video volume down. Oh, I've got some of that on my thumb. Let's get that off. There we go. I like to be really clean in the kitchen. Oops, and I almost forgot. This is actually my secret ingredient. I love to put some vanilla in there. And this is another one of those things that you're probably going to wonder, how much do I put in? So I'm going to actually measure it out this time. I have these measuring spoons, and we have TSP stands for teaspoon. There's a quarter, a half, a full, and then TBS, I don't know if you can see that on here, that stands for tablespoon. That's a really large one. You see these are smaller. I think I'm going to do a half a teaspoon. You know what? Let's do a full one. We're going to do 2 halves. That makes whole. So I think that works out a little bit better. Here we go. And vanilla is another one of those things. You see how it's kind of stuck on the bottom? I usually like to shake that up. I didn't shake it up this time, but it's kind of like soy sauce. I like to shake it up because it sticks on the bottom. Okay. All right, and then I mix it just a little bit before I turn the mixer on, because otherwise it's kind of like when you're trying to mix flour, it'll go poof and it'll go all over the place and you'll have an awful result. It'll be all over everything. So I mix it up just a little bit by hand, get some of the lumps out, and then we're going to turn it on real slow at first. And I turn it around and turn it around so that it all gets mixed in. then I'm going to turn it up. Now I'm going to turn this off so I can show you. It's still very, very liquid. And when we get finished with this, it won't be the least bit liquid. It's actually a little bit difficult as you get going to mix it because it gets so thick. It's almost like peanut butter. It's so thick. By the way, I really like peanut butter. I'll have to show you my recipe for peanut butter pie sometime. I love peanut butter pie. And this bowl is not really as deep as I normally like to use. It's kind of splattering all over the place, and I don't like that, but I don't have a choice. I'm at somebody else's house, and I'm making a mess. I don't like that either. There we go. All right, we'll start mixing again. Turn it up. Turn it all the way on high. Turn it off and show you. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. You can see it's still liquid, and if you'll notice as I'm mixing, I mix around the edges of the bowl so that it's getting not just in the center. You want to always mix around from the center around to the outside edges. All right, and I slowly turn this up. I don't just immediately turn it on full blast because it'll splatter all over. Now right now it's about the consistency of maybe a little thicker than whipped cream. So we're going to go just a little bit longer. One of the things you'll hear when you're mixing egg whites, you'll hear it make stiff peaks. And this would be what they consider stiff. You see the peaks, like a peak of a mountain. There's stiff peaks. We really could go with this, but I'm going to do it just a little bit longer. Okay, and you see how it starts kind of separating. That's when I know it's really done. And this is one of the things too, is don't pull your mixer up out of the bowl when you're doing this, or else you'll wind up with it splattered all over the place. Let's get a little knife here. I usually like to use a rubber spatula, but I don't have one of those here. I'm using somebody else's kitchen. So we'll get all of this wonderful chocolate mousse out of here. This is one of those things that's really good. David likes to eat it because he's diabetic, and he can eat this because it's sugar-free. Although you still don't want to eat a ton of it because it's whipping cream, and that's not great for you. But he can have a piece of it ever so often. All right, let's see. Let's get our beaters out of there. And if you were here, I would hand you one of these beaters and let you lick it. But you know what? You can do this at home. It's real simple. And then you'll have to fight your sisters for who gets to lick the beaters. There we go. All right, we don't want to waste any of it. And you see there's still a little bit of speckles in there. That's okay. That's not a problem. Sometimes it mixes up real smooth. Sometimes it has a little bit of speckles. That's okay. It's going to taste the same either way. All right. I think we have it. Now, let's put this aside. The sink full of dishes. I like to keep a nice clean workstation when I'm cooking. Oops, did splatter. All right, there we go. Throw our trash away. Okay, now this is a ready crust. It's just a simple graham cracker crust. If you like chocolate, they have chocolate graham cracker crusts. And making a graham cracker crust is actually very, very simple. I've got a really easy way to make one, and I'll have to show you that on another video someday. They're really easy to make, but we're going to use this one that's store-bought. And they come, almost all of them have a little crack in the middle, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. Get a spoon here. Put this off to the side. And then we just spoon it out. And you see it's kind of like I said, it's kind of like peanut butter almost, the thickness of it. But it's real fluffy. David is having a good day because he had yaki mish today, and now he's having chocolate mousse pie. Those are two of the things that he really likes me to make. And I just kind of moosh around in there. You don't have to make it pretty, just stick it in there. And if you wanted to, you could put some strawberries on top and drizzle some chocolate sauce. You could do anything you want to make it really pretty. You could put a couple of dollops of whipped cream, although that's kind of defeats the purpose, and put some cherries on top of it, but I don't think I would go that far. That's too much whipped cream. All right, and there we are. It is all done. I'll tell you what, that's a difficult one to make, isn't it? And I just put it in the refrigerator, and ever so often he comes and gets a piece of it. And then if you wanted to make it and serve it, just individual servings of it, you just put it in your container like this. And there you go. There you have it. Real pretty. You could put a cherry on top of that. That's all there is to it. Chocolate mousse. Yum.